Good evening, everybody. I'm Amanda Nichols, our Revolution Communications Director, and I am honored to welcome all of you to our live Organize to Win Town Hall. Be sure to drop your name and where you're from in the chat as we get things started. As you know, the Democratic primaries are fully underway, and we are backing movement allies who will fight for our values from City Hall to the halls of Congress. In just a few minutes, we'll hear from some of the most exciting candidates on the ballot right now. First, we'll be having Ilhan Omar on the call later on tonight. She's running for re-election in Minnesota's 5th, and she's going to talk to us a bit about the ICE protests going on in Newark, New Jersey, very similar to what Minnesota experienced not too long ago. We will have Alex Boras, who's running for Congress in New York 12, Effie Phillips Staley, who's running for Congress in New York 17, Yuh-Line Niou, who's running for New York State Senate in District 27. We'll have Blegay for Congress in Maryland's 5th, Nate Blouin for Congress in Utah's 1st, and Randy Villegas for Congress in California's 22nd District. So we've got a powerful lineup tonight. It's going to be a very energizing and action-focused call, so I'm glad to have all of you with us. If you haven't yet, say hello to the Our Revolution community by introducing yourself in the chat and let us know why you're tuning in tonight. What races are you focused on this primary season? And let me get over there now to see who's joining. We've got Margie from the Chicago area, Daisy in Southern California, Molly in Salt Lake City, Utah. We've got Dan in Lake County, Illinois, Vicky in California, Patty in Syracuse, New York, Mike Watson in Fort Bend County, Texas. We've got Patricia in Albuquerque. We've got Susan Cook rooting for James Tallarico for Senate. She's in Texas. Nina is in California. And we've got Pat in Nashville, Tennessee. So once again, my name is Amanda Nichols. I'm the Our Revolution Communications Director, and I'm glad to welcome all of you to our live national organizing call this evening. The Democratic primaries are happening right now, and what we do now will determine what happens in November. Ballots are dropping, election days are fast approaching, early voting's underway in some states, and actually tomorrow is the last day to vote in California. So our revolution is going all in to get out the vote for our movement candidates coast to coast. Tonight we'll be talking to some of our top candidates in the country. Ilhan Omar will be here. She's recently announced her re-election bid for Congress in Minnesota's 5th. We'll also get her thoughts on the protests against ICE in Newark, New Jersey. We'll have Alex Boras, who's running for Congress in New York 12. He's taking on big tech. Effie Phillips Staley for Congress in New York 17. Yuh-Line Niou, who's running for New York State Senate in District 27. Blegay, who's running for Congress in Maryland's 5th District. Nate Blouin for Congress in Utah's 1st, and Randy Villegas for Congress in California's 22nd. So a lot of congressional candidates tonight. It's going to be really exciting. This is how we get our folks into the halls of power. And it's also how we fire up the base to beat the Republicans up and down the ballot in November. We want to make sure we have the best and boldest candidates on the ballot. So that's why the primaries are so important right now. This is going to be an amazing call. And I want to give a few more shout outs from the comments before we kick things off. Joanna in Chicago, Raymond in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, Randy in California, Sacramento. He says melt ice. We've got Nova in Whitleyville, Tennessee, Eric Osberg and in Whitleyville, Tennessee. So before I jump in, I want to drop a link to plug in with our phone bank team. Please hop on a shift with us. It's a lot of fun and you can make a big difference. That link is going in the chat right now. And I also want to invite you to become a member of Our Revolution. We rely on grassroots donations from you guys to run our Get Out the Vote operations, to elect progressives, to work to transform the party from the inside out, and to fight on our issue priorities inside and outside of the halls of power. So if you can chip in $5 or $10 a month, that'll help us get these candidates all the way through November. That link is dropping right now. And with that, Let me hand it over to our host for the evening, our Revolution Executive Director, Joseph Gevarghese. Joseph.
Thank you, Amanda Nichols. Good evening, everyone. Everyone who's in the Zoom room, who's watching on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, and on all our other social program platforms. My name is Joseph Gevarghese, and I want to welcome each and every one of you to our National Organize to Win Town Hall. The 2026 primaries are underway, and our revolution is working to elect progressive champions up and down the ballot all across the country. Tomorrow's election day in California, and early voting is already underway in states like Maryland and New York. And tonight, you're going to hear from some of the progressive champions that we've endorsed in key races. Our special guest tonight is going to be United States Representative Ilhan Omar, who continues to stand up and stand strong against Trump and MAGA extremism. We're going to talk to her tonight about the ICE protests in New Jersey. We're also going to be joined by Alex Borez. He's running for Congress in New York's 12th congressional district, which covers Manhattan. Alex is running to hold big tech accountable. As a New York State Assemblyman, he outpassed some of the strongest AI regulation in the country, and we want him to take that fight to Capitol Hill. We're also going to hear from Blegay, who's running for Congress in Maryland's 5th congressional district, which is right outside of Washington, D.C. Walla is running for Steny Hoyer's seat. She took the People's Pledge to reject dark money corporate contributions, but her establishment opponent, who is backed by Hoyer, has refused to take the People's Pledge. And as a result, he is benefiting from big spending from crypto, APAC, and big tech oligarchs. We've also got Nate Blouin joining us tonight. He's running for Congress in Utah's first congressional district, which includes Salt Lake City. Nate was endorsed by Bernie, and he's leading the fight against a massive data center in Utah. We're also going to be joined by Effie Phillips Staley. She's running for Congress in New York's 17th congressional district, right north of New York City. She's running against corporate-backed establishment Democrats in the primary. And this race is important is because the winner of the primary is going to go head-to-head with APAC darling Mike Lawler, who is the Republican incumbent. And that's a seat that we can pick up. We're also going to be hearing from Randy Villegas. He's running for Congress in California's 22nd congressional district in the Central Valley. He's going up against the Democratic establishment, which is putting its thumb on the scale because they don't want Randy to go to Capitol Hill. And last but not least, we've got Yuh-Line Niou, who is running for New York State Senate District 27, which covers Lower Manhattan. We've backed Yuh-Line when she ran for the New York State Assembly, and we are proud to support her again so she can continue to fight for housing and healthcare and our other progressive priorities in Albany. Before I bring up our guest this evening, I want to note that this is our revolution's 10th anniversary. That's right, 10 years ago, Bernie Sanders founded our revolution. And since then, our movement has elected thousands of progressives from AOC to Zoran. We've fought to pass progressive legislation and ballot measures, and we've transformed the Democratic Party and working to transform the Democratic Party from the inside out so it's not a corporate controlled party. As America's largest grassroots funded progressive organizing group, we are committed to building durable progressive political infrastructure. That means we don't just show up every 4 years when there's a presidential election. We don't just show up when Bernie's on the ballot. We show up for every election where we can get a progressive into power. Brothers and sisters, the truth is, if we want to defeat the oligarchs, if we want to break up corporate power, We have to elect progressives up and down the ballot every year, year after year. That's what it takes. If we want to win Medicare for all, if we want bold climate action, if we want to restore labor rights, if we want to win affordable housing, we have to organize to win over the long haul. And that's what we do here at our revolution. It is core to our mission. And brothers and sisters, we can't do it alone. We need your help to propel our movement into the future. If you are able, please consider making a donation or becoming a monthly recurring member to our revolution and help us propel these candidates to victory. Our revolution is powered by the grassroots. Every dollar you give helps fund our phone banking, helps fund our texting, helps fund our door knocking, and our direct mail to elect powerful progressives up and down the ballot. The link is in the chat. And if you don't have the financial resource at the moment to donate, you can still help our movement by volunteering. You can sign up to volunteer with our phone bank team. We are making calls every night during primary season to make sure that we get progressive voters, that's Bernie Warren voters, out to the polls because those voters are going to make the difference in these critical races. And we can't afford to have our friends and neighbors sit out the primaries. The link is in the chat. If you've got a few minutes, if you've got a few hours, a couple of hours once a week, join our phone bank team. The link is in the chat. And with that, I want to bring up our first guest tonight, Alex Boras. Alex served in the New York State Senate, where he helped pass the strongest AI regulation in the United States. It's called the RAISE Act. And now he's bringing that fight to hold big tech accountable to Capitol Hill. And big tech is paying attention. Three of Trump's largest mega donors have created a super PAC and they're spending millions to defeat Alex. And that tells us, that should tell all of us, that Alex is a threat to big tech. Alex, welcome to our Organized to Win call. Tell us a little bit about your fight to hold big tech accountable, the threats of AI, and also what you are planning to do when you get to Congress.
Thank you so much for having me, Joseph. Thank you, Our Revolution, for your support, for everyone here. It is so great to be with all of you. I'm Alex Boras. I'm born and raised and lived nearly my entire life in this district. And I'm running for Congress to get Medicare for all, to abolish, prosecute, dismantle ICE, to stand with the working people of New York and of this entire country, and to actually pass real regulation in AI. I've been in the state assembly for 4 years now. I've passed 32 bills through the legislature, but there's one in particular that got me noticed, and it's called the RAISE Act, and it's the strongest AI safety bill in the country. But it doesn't go anywhere near as far as we need it to. It focuses on the safety aspects of AI, but even that was too much for Trump's mega donors to stomach. Three of them in particular, Ben Horowitz, Mark Andreessen, who in the last filing was the RNC's single largest mega donor, and Greg Brockman, the president of OpenAI, who in the last filing was Donald Trump's single largest mega donor, teamed up and gave Trump a whole bunch of money in a familiar story across a lot of different industries, and in exchange got an executive order trying to punish states for regulating AI. It targeted my bill, the RAISE Act, and I didn't back down. I fought for it. I got the governor to sign it, and it became the only bill in the country enacted into law to regulate AI targeted by that executive order since it came into effect. And so I've proposed a whole slew of regulations around AI. And really a huge compliment and shout out to Bernie Sanders, who has been one of the clearest communicators on AI about the risks of what's coming and putting forward really innovative proposals to how we can deal with what might be the most disruptive technology of our lifetimes, and certainly the fastest moving technology of our lifetimes. But right now, the decisions about it are being made by five billionaires, by the heads of the five frontier labs, instead of the American people, instead of you and me, who actually should be guiding and taking ownership and making sure that any of this tech that's developed is actually working for us. And that basic idea is so terrifying to these oligarchs that they started a super PAC. They pledged to spend at least $10 million to defeat me, and then said publicly that they were trying to make an example out of me, which is an insane thing to say in public. But they made what they were fighting for really, really clear, which is they know that they are not popular. They know that the people want there to be regulation around AI, but their bet is that they can intimidate Congress, that they can intimidate any member into not really passing a strong bill. And if they do try to pass a bill, well, let it be known that they'll spend up to $10 million to defeat you. And so this race has become much higher stakes than it was when I declared. I thought it would be a race around protecting workers, about making it an affordable place to live and protecting renters, about protecting the one of the largest LGBTQ communities, including our trans kids, and making sure that they have basic protections from the attacks of the federal government. But the stakes have been raised by the super PAC because they want to make an example out of me. And if they win, if we lose, they go to every member of Congress and say, don't you dare regulate AI or we will make sure you lose your seat. And so this race is an opportunity for you to look these oligarchs in the eye and tell them, no, actually, we the people decide how this is regulated. We the people decide how we make these decisions. And so I'm so proud to have Our Revolution as a partner in this fight. My election is in 3 weeks and 1 day. It is on June 23rd. Absentee ballots are already going out. Early voting starts on June 13th. This is a critical time. We have phone banks most days. For those of you in New York City, we have canvasses every day, twice a day. And right now, I am leading in the polls, but within the margin of error. This is a neck and neck race, with the only candidate consistently beating me being undecided. So this is the best time to reach out. We can really shake the entire structure for how people are trying to intimidate Congress members from regulating AI, and I need you in the fight. So I'm going to put my website in the chat, alexboris.nyc or alexboris.com. Sign up for a phone bank, sign up for a canvas. Connect through Our Revolution, who have been incredible partners in organizing in the district on the ground, and join this fight to ensure that we, the people, decide this future.
Alex, thank you for joining our call. We know you've got to get back out on the campaign trail. One thing, again, I just want to underscore for the folks who are tuning in, whether here in the Zoom room or on social media, is what you said about standing up to the oligarchs. That's what each of these races is about. It's electing people who are grounded in our grassroots movement, who are willing to stand up to the oligarchs and say, you know what? You can't have free reign. You can't have everything you want, because you know what? We, the people, decide. And this race that Alex is running is really ground zero in the fight against big tech oligarchs and holding big tech oligarchs that are aligned with Trump accountable. So, Alex, look forward to working with you and getting progressive voters to the polls in the next 3 weeks. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Next up, we've got Effie Phillips Staley, and she is running for Congress in New York 17. She's from Tarrytown, just north of the city. She is up against two corporate and eight back establishment Democrats. And whoever wins the primary has a chance to take on Republican incumbent Mike Lawler. This district is a swing district. and it is a must win for Democrats and in particular for progressive Democrats. Effie, welcome to our National Organized to Win call. You're running in one of the most competitive districts in the country. How does running as the economic populist, the progressive, help you win over the independents that you need to win in this race?
Thank you so much for having me, Joseph, and thank you to Our Revolution for all of the work you do, but especially for your endorsement. This is the moment. And the thing about New York 17 is that in many ways it's sort of a tale of two cities. It's just north of New York City, and it has incredible wealth, but also incredible poverty. And when I first entered in this campaign, I should say that I'm a trustee in the village of Tarrytown, um, that I've worked in the nonprofit sector around social justice, my entire life. And I was actually asked to run by Hispanic activists within the district because they know my politics and they know my mother's from El Salvador, and that I care a lot about the parts of our district that are consistently overlooked by the Democratic Party, right? So when it comes to this idea of who are the independents, right? I think that the Democratic Party has a misperception that it has to go to the right, that somehow Mike Lawler is effectively setting the discourse when it's really not the case. When you get out into the community and you talk to people that the party ignores, people under 44, Hispanics, the working class, many of whom are independent, they are immensely frustrated with the Democratic Party's ability to focus on things like affordability. So what that means is that running as an economic populist is that everyone is hurt by the terrible economic conditions that we're all facing right now. And so when we speak about economic populism, we are speaking to the broadest audience possible. People who have, like so many, issues with housing affordability, issues with childcare, inability to have affordable health care, which is outrageous. So many things, wages not keeping up with the cost of living. We actually went out and interviewed families throughout the district and asked them specifically about their budgets, like what are the pain points? And these are the things that came up. And it transcends race, it transcends, it speaks to the working class, it speaks to the middle class. And that's why we think that our platform is really the one that's going to take it from Mike Lawler. So that is, we need 66,000 new housing units in this district at all price points to help bring the cost of housing down. We need to enable people to purchase their homes. And so we think that it's that $50,000 cash grants for home down payments are really the way to go. We need to cap rents. We need to cap rents for subsidized housing. I think it's absolutely critical. We need universal childcare. We need Medicare for all. All of these things, people will say, how do you pay for it? But look, if we just witnessed the largest transfer of wealth off the backs of working people to the ultra wealthy, to billionaires, and we're seeing 1.5 billion a day sunk into foreign wars that are illegal wars. So really, it's just about priorities. We have the money. We need to have the will. And that's why progressives have to take it right now. And none of this is radical. Because I grew up in a home, my dad was a high school educated, working class guy. He worked at the press as a pressman in the US Mint. And he was actually able to afford a house to raise his children so that we can go to good public schools and experience economic mobility. That wasn't possible for everyone, but I think it's possible for even fewer people now, which is why we have to take back government and make government do exactly what it should be doing, which is enabling us, all Americans, the opportunity to live to their fullest potential.
Effie, Phillips, Staley, your election's coming up in 3 weeks. And we are going all out to make sure that you make it over the finish line. The upside here is it looks like the moderates might split the vote. And with our progressive message that's pro housing, pro childcare, that speaks to people's what they need to succeed, we have a chance to take this.
We do, and I just want to share quickly that our polling shows it. Our polling shows that when you put this platform out, this is what people want. And as a candidate, even though the establishment Dems have the full power of the Democratic Party behind them, the people don't want that. They want this kind of populism. They want everyone to have the best shot at life. That's not something the establishment has been able to achieve. That's something that we can do when we'll take power.
Effie, Phillips, Staley, thanks for joining this evening. We're going to be all out to get you over the finish line on the 23rd.
Thanks. And for everyone, it's Effie, F-O-R, Congress.com. Visit the site, volunteer. We can take this. It's going to be amazing.
Let's do it. Now we want to bring up Yuh-Line Niou. She is running for New York State Senate in the 27th district, which covers Lower Manhattan. She's got Bernie Sanders' endorsement. She's got Our Revolution's endorsement. She's got a lot of powerhouse progressives behind her. And part of that is because she established her progressive bona fides when she was in the state assembly. She was an Our Revolution backed candidate, and she did some incredible things. Yuh-Line, we're so excited to endorse you and to see you in this race. We were excited to see Zoran take the mayorship in New York. And we know that you did a lot of work in that race. And tell us a little bit about how your campaign is capturing and carrying on that momentum and to get it over the finish line.
Thank you so much for having me. I love Our Revolution. I think that the work that you do across the nation is so important, especially right now. When I first ran for office, it was actually the same year and the same election day, actually, when Bernie first made his appearance on a ballot in New York. I don't know if folks remember that, but sadly, I won election the same day that Trump did. And we knew that we were right about the change that we desperately needed. But we had no idea how far that we would actually go, that we could go. And 2 years later, we elected AOC, Alex. We elected Alex right across the river, stunned the political establishment, and showed the power of what a people-funded movement could be, and a people-driven movement, and a people-organized movement could be, And we kept fighting. We fought for fair wages, for a taxation system that held the rich accountable instead of making them wealthier, and an economy that works for the rest of us. I wrote 2 of the New York State's tax the rich bills. Folks probably know how much I worked on the Invest in Our New York platform, but it is more important than ever that we tax the rich. A lot of folks during the pandemic will probably remember that I wrote the cancel rent bill. A lot of folks were shocked by it, but now when looking back, don't you think it made a lot of sense? We could have saved a lot of money for our government in a lot of ways if we just canceled rent. We could have used that couple of $1 billion, wiped off rent for everybody. It was, I think, very prescient in our thinking, because if the government's asking you to stay home, you should have a home to stay in, right? But I think that now people think back and think, wow, if we weren't spreading COVID the way that we did, and like if those folks were not having to, not have a place to stay in, our housing courts would also not be backed up. There would also be, you could go on and on and on, So I think that it's really important for us to keep on fighting for universal health care, for all of the things that the Democratic establishment said that we couldn't do. Because when they keep on telling us that this is the way it's always been done, or that things shouldn't change, we have to make sure that we actually fight back on that. Because if we do things the way that things have always been done, people of color, women, people with disabilities would never have any rights at all, or even the right to vote. So we keep on fighting, right? We have to make sure that we're fighting for fair wages. We have to keep on fighting. And well, I will say that in this time, we have kept winning, even though it feels like we haven't sometimes. We have won in cities. We have won in suburbs. We have won in different rural communities where people thought that progressive politics would never take over. But I think that we found that it just needed a little encouragement and a little bit of sunlight and a little bit of political will. And our revolution and all of you have brought that political will. And I remember that last year, Joseph talked about it a little bit, but my friend and my ally and my, mayor, Zohran Mamdani, stepped up to run against my enemy and my nemesis, Andrew Cuomo. I feel like I've fought that guy my entire life. And we once more did something that everyone said that we couldn't do, and we won again. And this is what a real revolution is. Our revolution looks like this, right? Our fight is far from over, and we all know that. But even as the forces of fascism are rising and the mainstream Democratic Party has proven that they are incapable of fighting back, we know who isn't incapable, right? We know it's us, and we need to fight more than ever. Right now in Albany, despite the violent extremes and awful policies of Trump and his minions, and despite families being crushed by high costs, they couldn't find the courage to tax the rich. We couldn't find that courage to pass New York for All, to stop ICE's thuggery and murder. They couldn't find the courage to fund healthcare for the 450,000 New Yorkers that are losing coverage because of Trump's cuts. Albany protected the billionaires. They protected people like Trump and Musk, while nearly 500,000 New Yorkers lost our health insurance. I feel like that's really unconscionable. So, my friends, we have to head into this fight once again. This is the reason why I'm running. I feel an urgency because I feel like the body that I left is not the same body that I'm trying to impact right now. We have lost political will, and we have to make sure that we are heading into this fight again, and that we put love back into our government, that we have bold plans to make our government actually work for our people and not just the powerful, and that we have the people spoken for and represented. And because every win means one more chance to help people survive. We have to have working people running at every level of government right now. And that way, one more family can afford rent, one more senior can get their prescriptions filled, and one more farmer can stave off bankruptcy. One more little immigrant kid like me can get the chance to grow up and succeed in this country. The forces are against us, but we're fighting back, and we will win because, fascism didn't die after World War II. It kept fighting, and now it's found its way back somehow. So we need your help. I need your help. Our city, our nation, our world needs your help. And we have an opportunity in my district to show once more that bold, progressive policy will win over the tepid moderation that we have been feeling at every chance. And like in every election I've ever seen and been in, I know we will be outspent, but we won't be outworked or outorganized. And so to do that, we need you. Thank you.
Yuh-Line Niou, she's running for New York State Senate. She's returning to Albany to fight for we the people. You heard You heard what she values, and that's what we value. And Yuh-Line, we're proud to endorse you again,
Thank
um,
you.
and accompany you in this struggle. We're going to be working over the next 3 weeks to make sure that you get over the finish line.
And my website is youlineforsenate.com. And I hope that you'll join us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I want to introduce Walla Blegay for Congress. She's running for Congress to represent Maryland's 5th Congressional District. She was on a call last fall when she first announced, so some of you may know her. Walla was one of the first candidates to take the People's Pledge to reject contributions from dark corporate special interests, but her opponent in the race refused. Her opponent is backed by Steny Hoyer's machine. She is running against data center lobbyist. And who is funded by APAC, crypto, AI, all of the special interests that we as a movement oppose. Walla, great to see you again. Tell us a little bit about how your race is shaping up since we last saw you. How are you fighting back against the Hoyer machine and the corporate interests that are flooding your race?
Well, we're on the ground. I just want to introduce myself to everyone. Thank you so much, Joe, for letting people know. I'm Walla Blegay. Actually, I was here in March as we announced our race. Hoyer stepping down. Hoyer has been an APAC. Well, some people would say he's been an APAC employee almost, taking people to Israel, funding. He's part of the $8 billion that's been leaving our country, going to Israel. And at this point, we are at ground zero of this attack. Our federal workers, nearly 20,000 federal workers have been laid off. We have federal contractors that have lost their job. We are ground zero. We are hurting here. There is no room for this war. There is no room for $8 billion leaving our country. There's no room for $1.5 billion daily leaving this country when you can't even put federal workers back to work. They're trying to take, not only are they taking our voting rights, they're taking our wealth. African Americans, we have in Congressional 5, we have one of the 2 wealthiest African American counties in the country have been ripped apart by this administration. So what we're asking for is a candidate who is not bought. I took the People's Pledge and I actually took it early on and actually told people I'm not taking corporate PAC money. We have AI, $4 million have been put into this race. But you know what? We're knocking on doors. We're on the ground. You know what people are saying? They're still undecided. Why? For the first time, they're questioning all the money that's being spent, the APAC, the crypto money. Let's just make sure we understand with AI money, that's 18 to 25. Our jobs are being taken. Our youth, our new generation doesn't have jobs.
Oh, we just lost the connection with
As
Walla.
we have the highest
Sure.
utility bills that we've ever seen. Seniors that literally we are paying the utility bills because people cannot afford the utility bills in addition to being laid off. And now we have data centers trying to come to Prince George's County. Almost every county in Congressional 5 has a data center coming, increasing our utility bills. We are at a war in Congressional 5, and we are trying to wake up residents to realize that what they're seeing is not business as usual. So let's make sure Hoyer understands, and any of his cronies who are trying to infiltrate this race to trick voters into voting against their own interests, that this is not the time. We have had enough. And this is not the time that people are suffering, and we are trying to keep data center lobbyists in office when people are saying no to data centers. My legislation actually paused the data center in Prince George's County. Now we've got a fight in Charles and Calvert. And in addition, we also have a fight with making sure that we get our federal jobs back. We have people who have worked 30, 40 years who are literally scrounging to be able to afford their bills. So we have had enough. I would tell you, as a daughter of immigrants, I am I do not tolerate ICE. We have passed laws. I'm a council member in Prince George's County to stop ICE. They are not welcome in the state of Maryland and definitely not welcome in Prince George's County. I need your support. We are in a fight. I've never seen this type of money going into a race before. It's disgusting. And I really need you all support to make sure people know $4 million that comes outside of the district into a race should tell people something, that they're not getting what they deserve. So please check out my website, Blegay.com. It's been put in the chat. We are door knocking every day. We have a team just finishing up. It's 9 o'clock, so they've finished now. We have a team going out at 4 o'clock every day. We have phone banks going up. If someone from my team could put it in the chat, sign up for our phone banks, and polls open in on June 11th. And I really want you all to make sure that you all start letting people know. We need to phone bank, phone bank, phone bank. Let people know that Adrian is a data center lobbyist, that he's funded by AI, crypto, and all of those things. And Hoyer, in fact, we don't even need to mention his name. His name barely comes up in the ads. The name we see is Hoyer. And we need to make sure that people understand that Hoyer needs to know it is a new day. This is not 1989. This is a new day, and people are struggling, and it is time for us to turn this forward. I've been a Bernie bro since 2016. I was an advocate for Medicare for All when I had a $5,000 bill that I had walked into an emergency room at 19 years old and started looking at what can do universal health care so a 19-year-old is not scared to go into the emergency room because they're going to get a bill that's going to keep them from any type of medical care. We have a broken system, one of the most powerful countries in the world, and most people are using the emergency room for primary care because of the cost. So I am for Medicare for all. I'm for abolishing ICE, and I'm for making sure. Someone said, am I a Bernie-crat? Yes, I am a Bernie-crat. I've been one since 2016. Please let us make sure that we make a statement here. Maryland is usually bought up by APAC. APAC paid for the race in Congressional 4. We're going to tell them you're not going to pay for this race in Congressional 5. So
So
we're fighting.
Voila, you're on fire. Thank you for taking time out of your campaign schedule to join. Again, this is a race between regular folks, regular working people, and the oligarchs, right? She is running against a data center lobbyist. That is not who Democrats should send to Capitol Hill. That is not who the establishment should get behind, but they are. And so we are proud to support you in this race and want to let everyone know Election Day is fast approaching in New York, in Maryland. We're going to be making calls for Walla, and I want to invite all of you to volunteer. Take a few hours, join our phone bank force, and help us get out the vote for people like Walla, for people like Alex Boras, for Yuh-Line, right? People that we know who will speak truth to power and will fight the oligarchs and stop them from trying to corrupt our government. The link is in the chat. Walla, great to see you again.
Thank you so much.
Next up, I want to welcome Nate Blouin, who is running for Congress to represent Utah's 1st congressional district. Nate is a state senator, and as a state senator in a red state, he's shown that he knows how to wage progressive fights and win in tough territory. He's been endorsed by Bernie and by Our Revolution, and we're excited to have him. Nate, thank you for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your race. And data centers and AI have come up quite a bit, and you were in the middle of a data center fight. Tell us a little bit about that as well.
Yes, we are. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Our Revolution. It is great to be a part of this movement. It is a movement. It's so important that we have people across the country that are involved, that are trying to shape Congress in an entirely different direction. It's been a privilege to get to know folks like Randy, who I think you'll hear from in just a few minutes on the campaign trail. I know Alex from my legislative work. We have great people involved in this, fighting good fights around the country. hopefully we can send a whole bunch of us to Congress. It's been such a privilege to get to know these folks and to understand that there is a group of people who are really trying to change this country for the better for so many people. This is a brand new district. So our district now here in Utah, off of gerrymandering that went on in the past and efforts by the people. We had thousands of people coming together to pass a ballot initiative that my colleagues in the legislature have tried to overturn on so many occasions. We now have a district here in Salt Lake County that would have gone to Kamala Harris by 24 points in 2024 in Utah. So get that through your heads. I think a lot of people are forgetting that there are progressives, there are Democrats, there's a district that Bernie Sanders carried by a very wide margin here in Utah. And this data center issue is at the heart of everything that is wrong with our politics. It is about corruption. It is about environmental degradation. It is about how bad things happen behind the scenes when we don't shine a light on them. So this is a unique one where we have a wannabe Canadian billionaire, Kevin O'Leary, the same guy from Shark Tank, coming in to try and foist a 40,000 acre data center onto the shores of the Great Salt Lake, which is in a crisis right now. The Great Salt Lake is at historically low levels. We get toxic dust that kicks up off of the lake and blows over my community here in Salt Lake County area. We can't drain more water. We can't put more emissions into our airshed as kids on our west side, which is traditionally more lower socioeconomic folks, and they're suffering from higher rates of asthma, higher cancer rates, all of these things. And so this is something that happened behind the scenes. State agencies stamped approvals on this thing before the public even knew what was going on. People were paid off, and the public fought back, and we have seen permits get kind of overturned. We have seen efforts to actually take this off by putting it on the ballot. And it's a great example of how people can stand up. And we are seeing our leaders here in Utah pivot after having bent over backwards to see this thing built. And so it's so critical when we talk about these data centers to talk about what's coming. I was excited to see just today Bernie Sanders calling for a sovereign wealth fund to actually take these just astronomical developments and turn them into public investments, essentially, to make sure that we can all benefit from this technology that certainly can do good things like discovering new medicines and predicting the weather, so we can understand when our clean energy projects are going to work to the best of their abilities. Those are great, but there's so much crazy stuff happening. I've joined Bernie in calling for a moratorium, and I think this call for a sovereign wealth fund is very interesting because I think we can generate a lot of good things like we've seen in other countries from their oil reserves, from a product that is built off of the backs of working people that will displace workers, that takes in public knowledge that's been created over centuries. And they've just been able to do this without returning anything to us. And so when we talk about fighting against the billionaire class, when we talk about corruption, about getting money out of politics, of course, we've heard how much of a struggle Alex has in New York against all of the money coming from AI and other of these large tech industry folks. It is critical that we fight back, and we have people who are not taking corporate PAC money, that we have people who are speaking out against this sort of corruption, against the lack of community input on so many of these things. We want our communities to thrive. We want to say in that, and people feel left behind, and we need to stand up and tell them that we will fight for them. So that's why I am running for Congress. This is a really exciting race. We just put out a new poll today that shows us really in a two-way race with the most conservative Democrat from the 2019 to 2021 Congress, Ben McAdams. He is someone who has voted against reproductive freedom. He has voted against raising the minimum wage. He voted against the PRO Act. He voted to allow Trump to wage war in Iran during his last term. And he owns stake in a data center here in Utah. He will profit if this big data center gets built. So we are taking the fight to him. We need your help. We need folks to sign up to, if you're in Utah, there may not be many folks, but I did see some friendly names in the chat. Sign up to knock some doors. Thanks to everyone who already has find nateforutah.com, sign up to make some calls, send some texts. We certainly need your money. We are Bernie endorsed average donations of about $40 from 10,000 plus donors. Every dollar is going to help because ballots go out tomorrow, and we will be fighting for the next 3 weeks until the election on June 23rd to make sure that we are in this race and that we can challenge a conservative Democrat in a progressive seat, that we deserve representation for every member of our community.
Brothers and sisters, that's Nate Blouin, who is running for Congress to represent the people of Utah's first congressional district. And like many others, he is going up against big tech and the oligarchs who are trying to pillage and plunder what should be public goods. Nate, good to have you, and we're going to be working the field to get you over the finish line, brother.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys.
Next up, I want to bring up Randy Villegas. He's running for California for Congress in California's 22nd congressional district. This is the Central Valley of California. Randy's an educator, he's a community organizer, and he's been fighting for affordability, immigrant rights, and more of the issues that we support. That being said, the problem here is that the Democratic establishment has decided to weigh in on the primary. The DCCC, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, is weighing in this primary instead of letting the people of the 22nd district decide who the nominee should be. So, Randy, tell us a little bit about the current dynamics of your race and how you're fighting back against the DCCC trying to put its thumb on the scales in this primary.
Will do. Thank you so much for having me. And before I go into all that, I just wanted all of our amazing volunteers and staff to say hi to everybody on the call.
Woo!
We are in the middle of Get Out the Vote. It's election eve. And so we're going to continue to work hard to chase every ballot, make sure folks get their ballots in. For those that haven't had the opportunity to meet me yet, I'm Randy Villegas. I'm a professor and auto repair shop owner. And with your support, I'll be your next member of Congress here in the 22nd. And, you know, I'm running because I love the Central Valley. We're the farm workers who get up at the crack of dawn to feed the world and our country. Our energy workers keep the lights on, not just here in Bakersfield, but all across the country. And even though we work hard every single day, so many of us are struggling to get by because we've been sold out by politicians in both parties who will cater to corporations rather than our communities. And so I'm running against the Republican incumbent, David Valadao, as well as a corporate-backed Democrat, Jasmine Baines, who shares 53 plus of the same corporate-backed donors. Everyone from Chevron to Amazon to United Health, a corporation using AI algorithms to deny elderly people's claims so they can continue to profit while our family members suffer. And to that, we say no more. Throughout this campaign trail, I always go back to what my mother taught me very early on. Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you're with and I'll tell you who you are. And the same thing can be said about politics. Tell me who you're taking money from and I'll tell you who you're taking orders from. That's why I'm proud to be the only candidate in this race that's 100% corporate free, never touched a corporate PAC check, and I never will because I want to work on behalf of our communities and not corporate interests. Meanwhile, both of my opponents have taken hundreds of thousands of dollars from the same corporations that are ripping us off. And I'm proud to share with you all, despite the fact that we haven't taken a dime of corporate PAC money, we're the top fundraising Democrat in this race. We have raised over $2 million from over 25,000 individual contributions across this country, an average donation of $50. And that's what's powering this campaign. And that scares the shit out of the establishment. Is why you're seeing them throw their thumb on the scale to support my corporate Democratic opponent who has flip-flopped on multiple issues, including Medicare for All, actually signaling to dark money groups to attack me for supporting Medicare for All. Also flip-flopped on calling what's going on in Gaza a genocide. That is why AIPAC has actually been secretly funneling money to my opponent through 314 and through this other organization, I think Elect Democratic Women. Ryan Grimm just reported on this. Check it out. So they are spending roughly $2.5 million against me right now. This has become the most expensive California race in terms of outside money. And it's because they're terrified. And they know that we're going to prove to the world that not only can we win here in the Central Valley, we can win running on working class values, getting corporate PAC money out of not needing money, bombing schools and children's and community across the world, but building communities and schools right here at home. So proud to share that I support Medicare for all, endorsed by Senator Sanders, AOC, many of our progressive champions. And so with your support, we're going to win this fight. But we need you in this fight. So if you can, please pitch in whatever you can donate. You can head over to randy.vote/donate. Tomorrow's our election day. We want to make sure we're able to stay on the airwaves in both English and Spanish and counteract all this crazy spending that we're getting from the Israel lobby and from, corporate Democrats. It's not just a fight to flip the seat from red to blue. It's a fight for the soul of the Democratic Party. And I'm honored to be in this fight with you all.
That's Randy Villegas. He is calling in from the field. This is election eve in California. And he is the type of candidate that we want to get over the finish line. Randy, we're proud to endorse you. We just sent out our voter guide to Californians. You're one of our featured candidates, and we are going to be watching as the returns come in. Hopefully, the race will be called soon, but I know it might be delayed. So,
that's the other part I forgot to mention. Also, why they're spending so much money, we are leading in the polls right now by 4 points against our corporate-backed Democratic opponent, which is why they're flooding the airwaves right now to try and stop us. So, your support is going to help us win not just this primary, but heading into the general.
Well, we will see you on the other side at the victory party, brother. Again, that's Randy Villegas. He's running for Congress to represent the Central Valley in California's 22nd congressional district. And now I want to bring up our special guest. She needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her. U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar. She is one of our movement's strongest voices on Capitol Hill, and she just filed for re-election, and we are happy that Ilhan is with us tonight to help kick off her re-election bid. Thank you, Ilhan, for joining us. And I want to start by asking you about what's happening at Delaney Hall in New Jersey and some of the lessons that progressives should take from the battle in Minnesota over ICE and immigration rights, and what we should do in this moment, given what's happening in New Jersey and other places. Ilhan, Congressman Omar. Oh, having a moment of technical difficulty. Give us a minute to see if we can get her back on. So while we wait to see if Representative Omar is able to rejoin and reconnect, I hope everyone recognizes the wonderful lineup and diversity of candidates that our movement is putting forward to get elected in these primaries. We are making strides in making sure that we have some of the most talented and committed candidates that are going to field in the primaries to go against the establishment. And the biggest challenge, as you can see, is that the establishment has big money on its side. It's got, just like Trump, they've got the tech oligarchs, they have AIPAC, they have corporate special interest money that they're using to put the thumbs on the scale against progressives. And we have some wonderful progressives that we're fielding. And this is just a small example.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Congresswoman, welcome.
Oh my goodness. Hello.
Hey, sister, thank you for joining. Sorry, I guess there was a little glitch. I was just going to say we are so happy to welcome you back to our Revolutions Organized to Win Town Hall. We know that you just announced your bid for re-election, and we're proud to have you here to help kick off that bid. So, tell us a little bit about the state of the race. You've been taking a lot of incoming from Donald Trump, and that's, I guess, an understatement, from Trump, from the MAGA extremists, from the oligarchs, uh, but yet you're standing up and you're still fighting. Tell us a little bit about what it's like, what it's been for you, and what you are looking forward to doing as you continue to be our voice and our representative in Congress.
Well, thank you so much, Joseph. Sorry, everyone. I just couldn't figure out how to unmute myself. I could hear you guys. But really excited to join our revolution. Congratulations to the slate and everyone who joined and is out there working really hard to contribute to our democracy and help us create a more perfect union. We just filed for re-election. As many of you know, we won our Democratic endorsement, our convention back on May 9th. It was the first time that we were unanimously endorsed. So it was a big victory for us to have the DFL endorsement, which means a great deal here in Minnesota, and we officially filed on Friday for re-election. Really excited to continue to represent the district that welcomed my family, helped make me into who I am today, and yeah, just it feels good. We don't have anyone who has filed yet. We expect that we will possibly have one or two opponents that might end up filing by tomorrow, but I think tomorrow is the deadline to file to run. And so we are keeping an eye on that. And hopefully, we know that, corporations, APAC, everyone, I mean, they've spent 25 million or so against us in the past. And we know that they're going to come if there is a candidate. As one donor once said, even if Mickey Mouse was running against Ilhan, I would max out. So we know that they're out there, and we are ready. In Minnesota, we believe people-powered campaigns beat, moneyed campaigns. So we're excited to win again and continue to represent the people.
Well, Representative Omar, we're proud to announce our endorsement of you again in this race, and we want to do everything we can to support your bid. I wanted to ask you, there's a lot of ICE protests that are exploding onto the scene from New Jersey at Delaney Hall. What are your reaction, your thoughts on that, especially given the experience that the people of Minnesota went through under the Trump regime?
Yeah, I mean, we survived the federal occupation that killed two of our neighbors, Alex Preddy and Renee Good. We're still reeling from what that terror really meant for our communities. They were schools that had, 75% of the students not attending. So there's still a lot of missed schoolwork, lots of trauma. I talked to a young kid who was like, my best friend is just gone. They didn't say goodbye. They didn't leave a note. They didn't give me a hug. And so that, that had a lasting trauma on our community members. So many people got disappeared to Louisiana, to Texas, to Florida. Luckily, we got most of them back. We're still missing some. But we know a little bit about what it looks like to face down ICE and CPP, and what is happening in Newark, New Jersey right now is very triggering for a lot of us. It looks like it's a dangerous situation. I was listening to NPR earlier today, They had the mayor who is very worried that there's going to be more ICE agents that are sent in. That they asked him if he thought there could be the possibility of a repeat Minneapolis where people are actually killed by ICE, and he said that was his number one worry. And when we went through Operation Metro Search, we did what we did so no other American city, no other American would be visited with that level of terror. And I hope that it doesn't get as bad for them as well.
And Representative Omar, let me ask you this. You've been, Trump has targeted you, the MAGA movement has targeted you, Nancy Mace is targeting you by trying to get, I guess, write legislation to say immigrants can't serve in Congress, foreign-born folks.
Bless their heart.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you, right, what keeps you going in this moment where a lot of us, right, a lot of people in our movement feel frustrated, feel burned out, feel overwhelmed. What keeps you going in this fight?
Yeah. I mean, what keeps me going in this fight is, the example of Minnesotans who, moms who took kids that weren't theirs to school and picked them up, homeowners who volunteered their houses to be a command center for people to share information, to drop off food. Folks who are willing to pay other people's rent, to go grocery shopping for people. In Minnesota, we're reminded that, hope, courage, resilience is still part of the American story. And, we can give in to the fear and the despair and the hate, but we can choose. We could also choose love, hope, and courage, and that's what keeps me going.
Representative Ilhan Omar, we're proud to endorse you again in your race. Thank you for joining us this evening and sharing your wisdom with all of us in this moment where things will look tough. We have to be inspired by the example of your constituents and others who are struggling on the front lines to speak truth to power with love and courage. So thank you, sister.
Thank you so much.
And with that, I want to wrap up our call. I want to encourage everyone who's watching on social media, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, or if you're in our live Zoom audience, get involved. You can be a part of our phone bank team. We are calling on behalf of the candidates you heard from on this call during the primary season. Every night, we're reaching out to progressive voters, Bernie Warren voters, who will make the margin of difference in each of these primary races. We've got to get these candidates over the finish line. So you've got a couple of hours. Volunteer with us. It's a fun time with fellow progressives. And if you're not able to donate your time, donate your treasure, whether it's $5, $10, become a recurring member of our revolution. We are the only grassroots funded progressive political organization in the country. And we run on grassroots dollars. We don't take corporate dollars. We don't take big money donations. We depend on you to keep our movement going. So with that, I want to wrap up our call with our chant. Unmute your phones wherever you are and say it with me. When we organize,
we win.
When we organize,
we win.
When
We
we organize,
we win.
Thank you and good night, everyone.
Record.